Welcome to our virtual happy hour
Dave,
with our
shut
friend.
up.
What are you doing? I thought you were
have
finished.
an
You said it
intro
was
video.
go.
There's an intro video. You.
I didn't even tell you that there's going to be an intro.
I told everyone you were all busy babysitting. Here's the intro
roll the
video.
roll the tape. Roll the tape.
Now we are.
Now,
I spent hours with a gimbal and my fireplace.
That was the most.
That was amazing.
The most Dave Mahoney opening there ever has been.
Man, what a mess. All right, well, welcome to the virtual happy hour. If you think it's sloppy now, just wait. It's going to get better.
5 years ago.
5 years in front of us, Dave. Five.
Beer 3, it's going to lose control.
It's going to get off the rails for sure. It is great to have you guys with us for a virtual happy hour. It is our very first Dan Diego virtual happy hour with our great friends from Ballast Point. Of course, a familiar face down there in the center. In the bottom is Jeremy, who is finishing a beer. Okay, that's good way to get things going.
First beer was delicious, guys.
Megan Holiday,
Full send.
of course, does middays on the radio station, is with us as well. And great to see you, Megan. Thank you for being along for the ride today.
What's going on?
Great to have you.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and Mahoney, real quick, just from the top here. I mean, why don't you talk about the history? Like you and Megan go way back, like many years.
Yeah, we got our start together. We met like it's 13 years ago now in San Diego. Yep. I got hired to do a morning show in San Diego because of my love of craft beer. No other reason. I think it was because they're like, this guy's tall and he likes craft beer, and San Diego is the mecca of craft beer. The best breweries in the world, reside down here, and we want to jump on that, and we did. And Megan was she started off as an intern down there, and then went on to become one of the biggest radio stars in alternative. And just love that we are able to get together, and it's not a meeting. That is that is
I
so
know.
much fun.
100%. I was just telling my yesterday. I was like telling him about how far back we go, and what a trip it is that now we get to like work together yet again and stuff. So I love how it all comes together.
And Megan, one of the very few people who doesn't hate me from those days too. So I consider that a big win as well.
I mean, didn't she only have to deal with you for like a year? Isn't that like the term limit on not getting sick of you?
Yeah, it's like 18 months, and then you really the hatred starts to flow.
One and done. Could have even been less than a year.
And then we have Kobe, and we have Jeff from Ballast Point. And speaking of history, you guys, I mean, 25 years now for Ballast Point. I mean, we got some of the stuff that you guys were so kind to send us that talks a little bit about just the road that you guys have been on and how this all started really as a passion project now a quarter of a century ago. And here you are, one of the biggest brands in all of craft beer, and so excited to have you guys participating today. And also thank you so much for shipping us some of this glorious beer that we're about to crack open.
And if you notice, Dave,
Jeff not Jeremy. Jeremy already cracked it up.
Jeremy has jumped the gun a little bit. We had to split it 4 ways here. I think Jeremy got his all. He's hoarding his own over on his end. But Jeff, you're wearing that amazing hoodie that Victory at Sea hoodie, and thank you so much for shipping those our way. That thing is amazing. Your guys' merch, beautiful.
Special merch too. Victory at Sea Day this year. We always release some special merchandise for it surrounding that festival. This time and this year, because we had to skip it last year for obvious reasons, we've extended it. And this is the 2021 Victory at Sea Day hoodie. Boom.
It also glows in the dark.
Mahoney, if you want to take a look at the connection, make sure that's good. There's a couple people on Twitch saying it's a little laggy, but while we're doing that, why don't we go ahead and crack open our very first beer? So we've got ourselves the Longfin Lager. So just kind of easing into it, right? I mean, we've got a total of 5 beers, and Jeremy's. Did you actually? I don't know if he actually brought a couple of these that he's just going to go ahead and slam the first one, and then he just disappeared on us. Whatever.
Remember, I broadcast from my garage. My beer fridge is right there.
Prepare.
Well, honestly, I'm nervous. I have the whole box.
I didn't I didn't plan on shotgunning the first beer, but with that intro, I kind of had to just to distract.
Such a mess. As I pour this into my glass, I don't know if you guys are able to see this through the stream, but I mean that is just a beautiful, crisp, clean looking beer. You can kind of see my reflection in the through it there, but
Yeah,
that is a beautiful lager.
Colby, if you want to walk us through this, I mean, tell us a little bit about your history with Ballast Point, how you got into craft beer, and some of the history of Ballast Point and the long fin lager that we are getting ready to, and some of us are already drinking.
Longfin, just real quick, kind of came around when we were doing a bunch of lagers, probably in the late 90s for the most part, doing them for homebrew festivals and house, consuming, but we weren't really putting out too many on the market. And this was kind of one of the ones that first got out. We wanted kind of a more traditional style Helles. Helles in German means light. So obviously light beer, not as light as the beer that are coming up actually, but very kind of German in flavor, German lager yeast, fermented cool. So it's nice and clean. German hops in there, just a good, easy drinking. Don't have to think about it, but still lots of flavor. It's got that secret ingredient in it, flavor.
Ooh.
So it's 4.5% alcohol by volume, which go ahead, Jeremy.
Me?
Well, that kind of leads into the whole what are you guys drunk? What's going on?
I thought Jeremy was talking for some reason. I just looked up and I thought I saw his face.
Colby and I actually the same person.
No, that was me. Yeah. I've hung around Jeremy too much. Now we just sound alike. Yeah. It kind of leads into the whole home brewing, how we got our start in 1992 at Homebrew Mart, which is still in the exact same location in Linda Vista, right down from the University of San Diego. They started the store in 1992. They started the brewery in 1996, hence the 25 years coming up. And I started in 1997. So this is my 24th year at Ballast Point, which is amazing for me to hear out loud every single time.
Do you get like a golden keg at 25? Isn't that? 25?
Well, I do have a keg. I have a keg of Longfin on in my garage, so I'm happy with that.
He mixes that with disc golf in his backyard, and he never has any reason to leave the house.
Chateau de Chandler.
Especially since I can't.
Let's talk about the evolution, right? I mean, because you think about 25 years ago, and I would say the vast majority of people didn't have any clue or concept what a craft beer was, right? And now here we are after all of these years, and everyone has a flavor that they probably gravitate towards, a certain style of beer that they like. And there's been so many people that have come onto this ride that you've been piloting, since, like you said, nearly 30 years ago now. I mean, what's it been like for you watching this evolution and really being at the ground level?
Well, even back, when I started at Ballast Point, there was still a lot of awareness of craft beer. It just wasn't as mainstream as it was right now. You couldn't go down to your local liquor store and have a choice of 50 different local beers. You had to go to the brewery and get the beer. So that was probably the biggest difference. Quality was always there. You had the guys leading the way, like Fritz Maytag, at Anchor Steam. You had Ken Grossman at Sierra Nevada. I grew up a little bit in the Seattle area, so I kind of grew up with Red Hook and Pyramid and Thomas Kemper and Big Time Brewery down by the U District, and those were kind of West Coast breweries that were near a hop region that were a little bit ahead of the game. Then when I moved to San Diego, I was just so impressed by the quality of beers being brewed. I think we were just starting to win GABF medals in San Diego. I immediately started homebrewing because I was kind of that beer tourist for a long time, and eventually took a 70% pay cut to quit my high-end steak waitering job to become a clerk at Homebrew Mart, and that was almost 24 years later.
I mean, it's
Our boy
amazing
Bobby
that
down
we
in
are.
San Diego said the Swingin' Friar Ale was one of his favorites along the way. You guys have had a lot of different, obviously a lot of different brews over the course of 25 years that you've been able to introduce. But what were you going to say, Mahoney?
Dave, I was just going to say just the fact that we are here in the year 2021, and that craft beer has become this global phenomenon that, has just changed the way that we are able to enjoy beer and spirits. And I think that we've seen the craft beer world influence so much of the other like wine and spirits world as well. We've seen, the craft bourbons that are coming out, the craft wines, and all this kind of cross pollination that you're seeing between the other ones. Wines are aging in beer barrels, beers are aging in wine barrels, then aging them all in bourbon, and they're all kind of just like cross pollinating and creating these new drinks and these new spirits and these new things for us to all enjoy. And I think that all kind of stems from just the creativity that we have seen from craft beer. Obviously, the over in Germany for a long time, German beer is the greatest beer in the world. And then, I think it was about 25 years ago, America kind of, when we decided that this was going to be something we are going to be good at, kind of really revolutionized the world when it comes to beer. So it just blows me away that, the fact that you can go get Ballast Point, I think, is it all 50 states now that you guys are in? And is there worldwide distribution now, but it's
Not
like
anymore.
everywhere I've been, I could find Ballast Point.
We were up to 49 at one point, but we've pulled back a little bit. We've tried to make it available if they want it, but we're not, putting people on the ground quite as much as we used to. But it's still all there, and it's still closer than you think.
I love it.
Jeff, I mean,
what you guys
being
do.
being the brewer at Ballast Point, I mean, when it comes to the idea of trying to dream up new stuff, how challenging is that after such a long history?
Well, Kobe makes it a lot harder than it should be because, he has such a talent for it. He's obviously made a name for himself in the industry. And to tell you the truth, he's injected a lot of his philosophies into the company. And I came in around 2012. And so when I got to Ballast Point, this emphasis and focus on innovation was already there. So it's actually not difficult. It's actually more exciting. And because the community and the industry is so engaging, and it really is innovations and collaborations spark more innovation, it's hard to make something jaw-dropping, but it's even harder in San Diego because, throw a rock across the street, you're going to hit a world-class beer and brewery,
And so that was actually kind of the next question is, I mean, you talk about, being in San Diego and trying to, continue to innovate, and everyone else, it's just so competitive there. I mean, you also have this amazing community of people, obviously, that enjoy craft beer and support it and everything else. Do you expect there to be another San Diego at some point, as far as, kind of being like the mecca of craft beer? I mean, do you think that it's gonna move around and there's gonna be other places around the country that kind of vie for that title, or do you think it's
Dave? I'm stop trying to make craft beer in Fort Smith, Arkansas happen, dude. It's not happening.
Well, dude, you're seeing it everywhere.
We go there.
you are seeing it everywhere, and people are nipping at our heels, man, in the best way possible. In this country, across the border, even across the pond, craft beer has evolved so exponentially, and people are getting wild with the beers that they're creating and what they're able to do now with the beers that they're brewing, how they're honing in styles, and the advancements in technology that are lending itself to have better shelf life and stuff like that. So I think, at least I hope, that craft beer meccas start popping up all over the place, because what better thing to catch fire than great beer being brewed all over the place.
Well, and I feel like all the competition, like you kind of alluded to, that the more that's out there, the better you got to be. And I feel like everybody wins, and and it's kind of like the music industry, when you're there, and then you've got these great bands. I feel like they push themselves to be better and be bigger. And if it was just one, monolith, which we saw 3 monolithic companies that ran the beer world for 100 years here in the United States, there wasn't a ton of innovation that happened during that time. And then we saw the craft beer come around, and we saw just amazing things. And I think every day I go to the store and I look across the shelves and I go, wow, I can't believe that somebody decided to actually do this. And I got to check that out and see what's going on with that. I do have a question for you,
Hold on,
Jeff.
but
I'm
Mahoney,
looking
before you jump, let me interrupt you there, because it's not just breweries standing on their own. A lot of this is collaborative. Like, there are great beers out there because you have two great breweries that get together and make a really amazing beer. They use those forces. The one thing about craft beer that you don't see a lot of in other industries is the fact that there's competition, but there's also an immense amount of collaboration and respect for each other. And I think that's one of the things that makes the beer even better, is because yes, we're all fighting for shelf space in terms of getting beer out there, but everybody's willing to work with each other to make an even more epic beer than what they're already doing every day.
Well, I also say this too. You know, you've got craft beer bars, you've got bars that, you know, I mean, that you go there and you share this common love for something that the craftsmanship is undeniable and that you all love. And if you move to a new city, when I moved to San Diego for the first time, you know, the place where I met most of my friends down there were at craft beer bars. Anybody who moves to a new city, seek out your craft beer bars. You are going to find good, like-minded people, and a lot of the times people who are working in your local craft beer industry there, who are good people, hardworking people. And I've brewed beer one time in my life. I had the illusion that if I wasn't going to do radio, that craft beer, because of my passion for it, is through the roof, was going to be my career path. And then I ended up making craft beer on a larger scale with a brewery in San Diego, and I didn't realize that how much blood, sweat, and tears, and cleaning and cleaning and cleaning and cleaning and cleaning go into the process. I say this, that if I ever get hurt and I need to be operated on in a field hospital, take me to a brewery, because there's no place cleaner on the planet than a brewery when you guys are getting ready to brew, because cleanliness
and a lot of anesthesia.
Yes.
Can I touch on a little bit of innovation?
Go ahead.
By all means.
You got to remember that, there wasn't a lot of innovation because a lot of people weren't talking, to go kind of back to Jeff's point. But the beginning of craft beer, the only way to really learn about craft beer was by reading books or going to a brewery and talking to a brewer. I learned how to use a computer at Ballast Point. That dates me at all. Because you just couldn't get online and find 20 recipes, of something. So I think, talking about San Diego, firing on all cylinders when, things were just getting started, we had not only collaborative brewers that were trying to kind of raise the whole scene, but we had amazing homebrew clubs that were really driving the whole scene. And then those home brewers would eventually become brewery owners or bar owners. So we just kind of started making this whole scene, this whole kind of circular wheel, basically, with kind of home brewing in the middle. And we just built that San Diego culture around it. And then, of course, as the information goes out and more people start to innovate and push the boundaries, well, there was only, a handful of maltsters back when I started. Now there's, over 100 maltsters in the United States. There wasn't any farms growing hops in San Diego. And, now there's 10 or 12. So all these big juicy hops that we're going to get into with Big Gus and even kind of Sculpin, back in the day, those were all new ingredients. So that also starts to kind of drive innovation in a lot of ways. So I think just kind of the shared knowledge, not only on virtually as far as the computer goes, but also, as the whole scene got bigger and just more people got into it, and you just got more friends, the craft brewers conferences that were being held every year, became craft industry brewing conferences instead of craft brewers conferences, it incorporated everybody. So, and then the distributors got behind everything, which then you were allowed to sell those innovative beers. You had an outlet, at volume.
We all get drunk together, man.
And then you see, one of the interesting things too. I think that we one of the more interesting kind of facets, the agriculture behind craft brewing, and now we're seeing some of these some of these breweries that are buying land or buying farms to secure the every step of the process when it comes to brewing and growing and all of that, and it's growing and growing and growing. I mean, literally growing and growing and growing because we got to grow the hops, and that we I think sometimes we forget that, like, the stuff in the can, the stuff in the bottle, the stuff in the keg, all comes from the earth. That has to be assembled by master brewers, masters of their craft, and it's easy to forget that how much love goes into each glass and each keg that you guys brew. And I love it. Not to be all hippie sounding and stuff, but I think it is very.
No,
cool
man, I
just to
love
see
that
the
stuff,
evolution
dude.
of it.
Nailing it.
No, but I'm just very thankful that this longfin tasted so good that I'm almost done with it. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Well, good.
me
We should
too. I
move on.
plowed
We
through
should
that.
move on.
Well,
we should move on, but before we do that, so I guess we're having a fairly decent problem with Twitch, with the actual video getting there, and so what I don't want to do is keep fighting with this thing. If you guys are cool with it, I would lobby for a 2-minute timeout so Mahoney can actually restart to see if that solves our problem, because we have so many good beers
Let's
here.
do a recess.
I guess a big chunk of the audience is right now unable to see it.
Yep.
They can hear it on Twitch, but for whatever reason, the
Great.
video is not working. So
They're actually over on
do
my
it.
channel right now.
Okay.
Are they really?
Is the RTMP channel? Is it working on your end,
No,
Jeremy?
I'm quite literally screen capturing the vMix web window right now and just streaming it on my side.
Oh, that works. Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
that-
Well, 1 second. In the meantime, we will be back in 2 minutes. Thank you guys for
2 minutes.
joining
Hang
us.
with
Our
us.
first beer is done, and we're coming back with another one here shortly.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Son of a bitch.
You little sneak.
Like,
so good.
hey,
Yeah,
man, this is
Do you
from
need us
the
to log
earth.
out,
It's
or
good,
is that all
bro.
on you?
No,
Dave?
we're just having an issue with their server right now. This is all. I mean, like I said, this is great what we're dealing with right here. But if you just give us
For whatever
1 minute.
reason, the feed going to Twitch, I mean, it wouldn't make sense that it's overloaded if the audio is getting there fine. It's just the video for whatever reason. So we're good.
Oh,
It just
okay.
should be a reboot, and we should be all right.
Okay.
All right, let's just
Cool.
try.
Let me finish
This
this beer.
longfin, seriously, guys, is amazing. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't
It's
have a-
bomb, isn't
But
it?
yeah, it is so
It
good.
went down
I'm like
so
really impressed.
smooth.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Like I have a.
This is
sip
more like an
that went down way
aperitif,
like
right? This
candy.
is like to wet your whistle.
Yeah,
It's wet.
this is a
Ready
really
to
good
go.
intro. I don't know who nominated this one as the first one to go down, but thank you.
No, we'll touch on it a little bit, but there is also a art to the flight, right? The art to the tasting, we can talk about it so that people at home. I always like during virtual tastings or beer dinners to let everybody at least leave with that. Like when you go and you assemble a flight, you got to be strategic, because sometimes the bartender isn't, and for you to really enjoy the trip down, the beers. You want to do it the right way. And so longfin is light, it's crisp, and so it typically starts.
What beer are we going into next?
Little
We're
G.
going
Going to Gus.
We Gus. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Firing this back up. I will count us down in 5.
Hold on. Is there an intro video?
There is not.
Oh man, please tell me there is.
How,
Oh, so
how-
epic.
I mean, I can fire it up again.
So loud. Oh my
I
god.
know,
so loud. I love so much.
Oh, man. Yeah, Dave,
was
I don't
insane.
know why Twitch is just being. Oh, here we go.
Is it working?
It looks like we're working. It looks like it's working on Twitch again. So,
Okay,
and it
all
looks
right.
like it's good quality. Hallelujah.
Oh my
Hey,
God, we
all
got
right.
Twitch
Oh, we
goods.
did it.
Let's
We did it.
go.
There we go. There we go. So
Wait, Megan's
we are
gone.
back,
SOS.
and-
SOS.
we are going to be drinking another beer. So if everybody wants to grab,
So
the
let me
second beer,
let me just reset here for those of you that are just joining us or wondering what the heck has been going on. We were having some technical problems with Twitch. Hopefully that is gone now, and we're able to get in because we have 4 more beers. We just went through the lager, and that went down so smooth. But look at that, Mahoney. Did you shoot that?
Who
Or
is
in
in charge of this camera? Who's in
Woo,
charge of this
that is
production?
beautiful.
That's right.
Look at
That's
that
right.
thing.
I know. That's right
Yeah.
in my kitchen. Right after I made some macaroni.
We're getting some good news from the people that are watching. They're saying, yes, it is working. It is so much better. So that's good to hear. North Dakota, he said, I prefer to arrive by boat to Ballast Point. Beer always tastes better when you do. I would concur that beer on a boat is always the best. So let's hop into this next one. This is labeled as a hoppy lager. It's called the Wee Gus. And Colby or Jeff, whichever one of you wants to kind of take us through what to expect here as we dive into it.
I'll go ahead and comment a little bit on the next couple of beers because they're kind of a big deal. So we're under new ownership, and so anybody that doesn't know that yet about Ballast Point, breaking news: we are back to independent. Back in 2020, March 2nd to be exact. So right before chaos, we were acquired by Kings and Convicts. Now, who are they? A lot of people had the same question, but there are just a couple of guys that owned a brewery in Chicago that did fairly well for themselves, and they really loved Ballast Point. They loved it so much that they wanted to buy it. And so this beer is a lot of things, but one of the things that it's representative of is our new ownership just kind of coming in and saying, you guys want to do some cool stuff? Let's do some cool stuff. Let's do some wild and crazy things. And let's kind of throw our innovation hats on and we got your back. So all the brewers were giddy and everybody was happy. And these next 2 beers, the Brothers Gus, as we're calling them, are the first beers under the new management as far as our releases are concerned. And this beer is pretty interesting. And before I really go into depth about it, take a look at it. Smell it, dissect it, look at it. It should be
is that
head scratchingly clear.
Is that mosaic in there?
I love the.
Ooh, look at you. Who said that?
That's
Jeremy.
Ooh, yeah.
What is this? Yes, there is. Oh, actually, wait a minute. No, I'm confusing it with Big Gus, and so you're also confusing it with Big Gus. This actually has quite the opposite. It actually has German hops. It has more of a noble hop profile, which is interesting, right? Because you wouldn't think that something like a noble hop profile would pack such an aromatic punch, right?
I'm almost getting that like Skittles from it, which is why I thought it was mosaic. But what German hops are you putting in here that gives me that?
So we got Hallertauer and Northern Brewer. Mittelfroh, by the way, Hallertauer, Mittelfroh, and Northern Brewer. And because we pack it towards the end stages of the brewing process when it's the hot side, you're going to get more of an aromatic component from it than any bitterness. And that's kind of the key, and that's the point. This beer, along with its brother, is supposed to be very, very hoppy, but not aggressively bitter. Big Gus is bitter, obviously, but it's not supposed to be over the top. And you could be fooled by smelling it and thinking that you're going to go into this bitter bomb. But that's, I think, what we want to remind everybody listening is that bitterness and hoppiness are 2 different things. And your beer could be very hoppy without it being bitter. And this beer is a prime example of what it means to be hoppy aromatically, but not necessarily bitter. You know what I mean?
I love the color on this beer. I mean, just it is that golden straw. It just looks beautiful. I don't know if I've ever seen. I mean, that is just
not from us. Yeah, you haven't seen it from us.
It reminds me of a glass of champagne.
It's bone dry, and so you're not wrong in making that assumption. Or at least that comparison. This is the clearest beer that we've produced here at Ballast Point, at least on a scale where it hits markets, right? And it's bone dry, and it's very much supposed to be spritzy, clear, refreshing. And when something like a beer is this dry and we're still infusing so much carbonation behind it, you're supposed to get that very champagne-like spritzy mouthfeel, right? And it makes it refreshing.
Effervescent.
I'm actually curious.
Effervescent.
Audrey, what do you think of this
Mahoney,
beer?
Mahoney doesn't know how to say that.
That's a tough word for me. That's a tough word. I can't spell it.
Just
That's
try
for
it.
sure.
Just try it. Just try to say it. Try to say it.
No, I am not.
Just try
Say it once, and we'll all say it that way for the rest of the show.
Effervescence.
Come on.
It's the band, right?
Yeah, they bring it to life, right? Is that the song that they sing? Amy Lee. Yeah.
She's the lead singer of
But yeah, so like this is hopefully better than Effervescence, the band. And
yes, I can confirm.
okay,
First off,
all right.
nothing is better than Effervescence the band.
Going
Secondly,
on tour this summer. Once we have concerts again, it's going to be a socially distanced festival. It's going to be beautiful. It is.
So our boy Guillermo, who watches along and hangs out with a lot of the virtual beer fest and broadcasts that we do, he said he's driving today, so he's not actually able to partake. But he was asking if the Wee and the Big Gus are available in places like Total Wine. Do you guys have these kind of splattered all over the place? Is it limited distribution? Where can people find this?
They should be available all year round, and they're going to be out in distribution. I would check your liquor stores and before you head on over and ask for this stuff to see if they have it. But it's available in our tasting rooms, and it's available out and about. So, like I said, I'm not necessarily sure what liquor stores are going to have it, but this is out there, ready for you to go and buy and drink.
Taking a look at
Jeremy,
the can,
when
I mean, as we see the can rotate, the artwork
Is that a
on
microwave?
Is no, that is not a microwave.
Do not put this in the microwave.
Oh,
It's
I'm in the
already
market for
microwave.
microwaves.
Here we go.
I'm in the market for microwaves, so I just thought, I was like, dang.
I spent like $100 on that thing that spins around. I was like, I gotta use it. I'm gonna showcase the beer. Look at now it's going fast. Oh,
It looks
but
beautiful,
the-
Mahoney.
but the
You spent
artwork,
$100 on a Lazy Susan?
Yes, essentially. Don't tell my
It's no
wife.
longer Lazy Susan. Her name is just Susan now. Okay, it's very. We don't call her lazy anymore.
disclaimer: do not put our cans in a microwave.
Please. My mind.
Please don't.
Nobody wants to drink warm beer anyway, so I mean, it doesn't work on any level. So yeah, just avoid the.
But yeah, what
microwave
you
with
guys
that.
are showing is a display of our new packaging. So I know that we just released these two brand new styles, but it's been a long time since we've released into the market a new beer. But what we were able to do prior to this release was repackage all of our existing beers so that it could tell more of a story. That's something that's very iconic to Ballast Point. It's artwork. So Paul Elder has been doing artwork for us for how many years now, Kobe? 20 something years. And we're very much we're very much a brewery that takes all aspects of art into consideration. So there's art inside of what we're doing, right? Like the beer, and that has its own art. And then there's also the visual component, something to start making you salivate before you even taste the beer. And one of the concepts that we're rolling out with now is this complete art concept. And what that means is if you're watching right now and not listening, you'll see that the can actually has two images of the artwork. It has a sketch, which is Paul Elder's back of the napkin. He's hanging out at Homebrew Mart and he's doodling. And then there is the final product, which is what gets essentially slapped onto our boxes, the big pieces of artwork that you can find at our locations if you ever wanted to purchase them. I thought it was just a beautiful kind of story on a can. It's limited real estate, right? So there's only so much you could do.
Well, and if so much art goes into the brewing of these beers and the science that goes into that, like I just never understood why you would cheap out and like wanting to present it in a way that doesn't show it in its absolute best life. Like hire somebody beside your intern with MS Paint on Microsoft 95, man. Come on, like step it up just a little bit because as dumb as it may sound, I think we gravitate towards things that look good, because if it looks bad, I think we have that in the back of our head, are like, it's probably not going to be pretty good. But then you see a can like this, then you go, wow, that artwork is a piece of art. I bet what's inside is a piece of art. And spoiler hint, it is absolutely beautiful. And you guys, I am very excited about this beer. I'm excited to get into Big Gus as well. But this is as far as lagers go.
A lot of
Yeah,
people,
as
a
the
lot of people
hipster on the
forget.
show, I appreciate the art on this, especially the illustration with that little caption there. How to make and I can't read what that G word is, but how to make a something smile. I love that. It really shows
Grouper.
the conceptualization of how to make a grouper smile. It really shows how you conceptualized that, and then you made it into such a beautiful, beautiful piece of art right here.
I didn't even
That was
see
like
that.
a groupie smile.
Look at you. Where's Waldo? I didn't see that.
They work.
Usually he just puts on his grocery list is on the side of it sometimes.
Oh, it looks like we needed to buy eggs that day.
Hey, what I was gonna say was most people forget that the eye is the first one to taste.
Absolutely.
That's
So,
very true.
Very
a
true.
well-plated meal always looks way better,
All of our senses play into it, even, honestly, with the if you're using cheap glass and the texture of the bottle is off. I mean, all of our senses go into enjoying something. And I like that what you guys are doing. I've been a fan of Ballast Point. Actually, I think I pulled up my review for the grapefruit sculpin that I wrote in 2000. I think it was the first year it came out, maybe 2012.
Please tell me it wasn't 1 star and just not my style.
No, it's our highest rated IPA that we've ever done. I think I gave it a 4.6 out of a 5. I mean, that is obscene for
That's high.
that is obscene for an IPA. And I just remember drinking it for the first time on a warm summer day and going and just being blown away. This is my new summer beer. And I love that, you guys have continued to innovate that Sculpin line, which we'll get into. And I love that you're introducing stuff like, to me, I want to be on a boat right now. As Audrey pointed out, she said, "Hey Mahoney, your shirt's unbuttoned." I felt like it was getting to. I was going out to the lake, taking some
Why are you gonna tell them, Audrey? I was hoping we were gonna get some full Janet Jackson, like we're gonna get cut down by the SPP.
Terms of service. We can't show male nip on.
We can't show any nip. It's an equal opportunity no nip on Twitch or Facebook. So
Twitch is going to overdub his nipples, just like Metallica.
I don't know if our friends from Ballast Point want to be associated with my nipples. I don't think that's a good. That is not.
Let's get through Big Gus before that
they
happens.
came in for. Yeah.
Maybe after Victory at Sea.
Yeah. Hang on
Hey, real quick,
from your nip though, like that works.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Proper pasty.
That's right.
Hey, real quick before we move on to Big Gus, I just want to everybody that's watching, everyone that's listening, that obviously may not have these beers. Some of the flavor components, some of the tasting notes. Obviously, it's a powerhouse of hops on the nose. Both are, but this one's gonna drink really clear, bone dry. There's some lemon components to it, so it is a lager strain. So unlike its brother Big Gus, it's a lager as opposed to an ale, and Colby can talk about what that means a little bit more in depth, but more of a floral component with this beer, a little bit more of an herbal, spicy component to this beer. Just so
Skittles.
that anyone listening is like, yeah, Skittles, yeah.
Jeremy,
spicy Skittles.
Jeremy did the same thing that I did when I had this beer for the first time, and he picked out the fruitiness. And I'm like, what is so fruity about this beer? What are you using? I was trying to go for the new hops and stuff. And it's actually the Northern Brewer in it that has that fruitiness to it. And I was like, wow. It had been a long time since I had been around Northern Brewer and realized it was that fruity, but it's always been one of my favorite hops for any kind of IPA. Just throw Northern Brewer in there. It has that kind of cleanness and the balance between the terpenes in the hops too. So I think it works perfectly in this beer.
That's so
in
wild.
this session brewed India pale lager.
Yeah, the thing that jumps out to me
like I
is,
said, this is my first time
is
tasting
that it
it.
really
I
is like. Yeah, go ahead,
I
Mahoney,
could
finish that
drink
thought.
all these. Yeah, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
this is a beautiful beer. You know, if you're watching along right now, I mean, it's a little bit chillier outside here in Las Vegas than it normally is, but man, I cannot wait. Like, I have a couple go-to summer beers, but that may be the new best boat beer, hands down. Like, I mean, that
this
is
is for
just
the lake.
beautiful, refreshing, tasty, you know, and that's one of the things when you have beers that with the lower ABV, sometimes you lose some of that big flavor, but I still feel like I'm getting a big flavor that comes to that tickles the tongue, that it excites the senses, and I'm a fan. And bravo
Right
to who
on.
came up with that recipe. You know, it is
Well, our R&D facility down in Little Italy, every location. And by the way, as I talk, you guys can go on to Big Gus. We'll talk about that right now. Go ahead and pour it out. But I want to let everybody know that most of our locations, if not all of them, have some sort of brewing component there. But our Little Italy location here in San Diego has a small brew house, and it's our R&D facility. So we're able to toy around with different raw materials and different styles and really perfect them before we even start thinking about whether it deserves to be in the marketplace or not. So that's one of the biggest things about this particular beer is that Little Italy has brewed over 300 different styles of beer for us. And inside of our tasting rooms, you get to taste them. So if you go down to our tasting rooms, you'll see varieties of beer that are only available on tap, because that's what the boys, Aaron, Chris Takeuchi, and Chris Hotz down in Little Italy are doing. But the nice thing about it is that our new ownership came in and said, hey, we want to pluck out some of what you've been working on. What's the coolest thing that you guys have been working on? And let's make it happen.
So just to put it in super layman's terms, in my opinion, with the wee Gus, right? Like this drinks as clean and as easy as a lager, but it really has a big flavor profile, but it's not overwhelming, right? Like when you drink it, and I think about the traditional IPAs that I like, you know, that are ones that really punch you in the tongue. It's not like that. You get a lot of flavors, but it still is stunningly easy to drink and goes down like a traditional lager would. So for people that kind of want that gateway beer, I think this is sort of the perfect one, right? You guys have done a really nice job with offering something with a lot of flavor, but at the same time, it's not something that I think would scare most people off that maybe aren't the super IPA or hop fan.
Right.
Colby,
And it's a marathon beer.
Yeah, this.
Hell yeah.
If I were to, I don't. First off, the people who do the beer marathons or the beer miles, maniacs. No way I could run a mile and then slam a beer and then run another mile. I don't know how they do that. Superhuman. That is a superpower that I do not possess. I can sit down and enjoy a beer. Colby, I saw you wanted to weigh in there. What was that you were going to add to that?
Oh, I don't know. I'm lost.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I feel like since Jeremy and since Jeremy and
I'm just thinking about
Mahoney.
Mahoney running.
Yeah, no. If you see me running, call the police because something has gone very awry. There's
He
much
won't
like jumping.
run up block.
Yeah, I'm never.
No,
running.
my kind of marathon is sitting at a desk and talking about beer for 2 hours. That's my marathon.
We've got that for you here today.
First place all the time, Kobe.
I won't be.
I run that a lot.
Back when I was running, back in a thinner self, almost 8 years ago now, running and having a beer after you run is actually really restorative because you get a lot of that. You get all those juices flowing. You get that salt. You get the barley. You get
once you're done. But
if you think about it, it's if you do a marathon, it's just increments of that same run. So I mean, it just 10 miles, shotgun a beer. 10 miles, shotgun a beer.
I don't know why they chose me to host a 5K here a couple years ago, but which is they're like,
was it the turkey trot?
Of course, no, it was like a legit 5K, and they're like, there was like people who came in from all over the country to do it, and it was like there was like prize money, and I hosted it, and they're like, "Do you want to take place?" And I'm like, "Sure." And
yes, I'll
totally
take
did not
last
because the start and the finish. The start and the finish place
I'll
was
take
at
the
the
last
same
place.
spot, and there was a bar literally next door. The race starts. I walk over and just grab a beer, and then waited for everybody to circle back around, and then eventually walked maybe 100 yards total during that 5K. And I'm like,
In other news, they did
it.
not
You
ask him
deserve
back
it.
the following year. Yeah, that was a one and
They
done.
did not. Well, we've got, as you can see right here, we've got the Big Gus. Jeremy's poured his. I have poured mine. Another beautiful can that was not filmed in my microwave, but
Just needed to know.
Hey, now,
got their-
just because we were talking about marathons, just real quick before we completely end the conversation about Gus, it actually is 96 calories. We did the test, and
Oh,
Really?
yeah,
I've had some other
Yeah,
low-calorie
yeah.
beers, and they do not compare at all to that. That is
No.
worth every.
At all.
That is wild. That is
No.
wild.
Well, we're celebrating our 25th. We started in 96 as Ballast Point, so hitting 96 calories was pretty cool.
Oh,
It means something.
Well, I mean, for you.
Well, because
guys
we
to
started in
have the
96,
success-
just in case anybody didn't get it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I figured it out.
my freshman
Oh.
year, my freshman year of high school. Yeah, yes, 1996. And we were drinking
this-
any kind of beer that was nearly as good as Ballast Point. This is why I'm so mad at the younger generation right now. Like, you will never understand. Like, we had to deal with some really bad beer. Your dad never had good craft beer stocked in his fridge. Dave's over here. He's got 3 kids. By the time his kids are like,
Stealing
it's time
booze.
that they're stealing beer, they're going to be stealing amazing craft beer. They won't know the trials, the tribulations that all of us had to go through to get to,
Steal my Ballast
get
Point, I'm
beer.
going to break your hands, children. I will break your fingers. Don't steal my.
Babysitter
Well,
nervous.
hopefully they're not shotgunning the beers and playing beer pong. They're just sitting around in a circle, sipping on it with their pinkies
No,
up.
like, yes, the beer games that we are going to play. It's called Sit Down, Relax, and Enjoy Something Really Tasty, because I think the reason that
did you ever
the other
do
games
that in
exist
high
is
school?
because the beer wasn't good, and I
We were
literally,
drinking Beef Eater.
well, you graduated in 2009.
How dare
You're a degenerate.
How dare you?
That-
Did you think it was classic?
Ugh.
Is
Is that
that
Alabama
Alabama
or
on the
Kentucky?
label?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was like anything that we could get for $10 that was in a plastic bottle, we were cool with. So you know what?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's why everything that I'm drinking right now tastes like chef kiss.
Well, we appreciate quality. I mean, I have drank the worst of the worst. I mean, literally, there was a place. So I grew up in St. Louis, and St. Louis is an AB town. And if you're not drinking AB in St. Louis, they go, "Hey guys, what do you? Why are you drinking that fancy beer?" But we had a beer that was sold at a discount liquor place called Dirt Cheap. That was just a clear can that just had a stencil of beer. It was just called beer, and they had Beer Light. Like legitimately, and that was a big seller.
That's awesome.
in that town. I mean, it is awesome but it's also, like, why I hated.
I think they
beer
still
until
use
I
that for
tasted
movies.
Craft beer for the first time. When you taste craft beer and you're like, oh, this is supposed to be good. And I tell so many people who aren't big drinkers, or they might not like whatever. There might not be a wine for everybody. There's definitely not a spirit for everybody. But with the variety and the flexibility that we see from craft beer, there is literally a beer for literally anybody and every taste palette on the planet. Like, it is so versatile and it's so wide, and that's what that has, why I've had a love affair with craft beer for 20 plus years now.
Yeah, that is correct. There
props
is more
in the-
versatility.
In the chat said when I played basketball after high school, I had a travel ball coach that used to promote having a beer after games and practices because it was good for recovery, and we never argue with him. So you're not the only one who has the theory that Jeremy,
My guess
after
is that was
hard
pre that was
workout-
pre
Your elementary school basketball team had it right. Let's
We didn't win a
let's
single game, but man, we had fun.
Hey, fun is not about winning.
Were they the inspiration? Were they the inspiration for Bad News Bears? I don't know.
That's for sure.
I feel like we.
So
should
what you
start
guys are
drinking
sipping
some,
on
Big
now
Gus.
is Gus' big brother, Big Gus, right? And This is significantly higher in ABV. What you guys just had was a 4.2, and now we're moving into a 6.5. Now, I understand that there's a lot of people out there that their purchase power is they hone in on the ABV and they want bang for their buck. So what we've done with these two is we've given two people two different options. One's light drinking for, particular occasions. And then if you wanted to do something that's along the same lines, and I say that very strategically because this is going to be light. This is going to be clear, it's going to be dry, and it's going to be hoppy. But they're just different hops, and it has a more of an IPA complexity to it. And obviously the yeast strains are different, so you're going to get different flavors and esters coming out from it, but they're supposed to almost be at least aesthetically identical and on the body identical. And where Aaron and the team down there at Little Italy were really able to kind of showcase their artisanship and their skills was making something that was clear, but it's still an IPA. It's in Aaron's world, or in Aaron's words, it's a clear, dry, crisp, hazy IPA. And that's going to sound very weird, but I think it's important to know that a hazy IPA, some people call it a New England IPA, has a big hop presence, but it's not too bitter. And that's what they were trying to achieve with a beer like this. And Big Gus and Wee Gus actually have the same hop bill. It's just Pilsner malt.
Really?
So
yeah. Now, Jeff, I mean, I don't have an expert palate by any definition, but am I getting a bit of mosaic in this one?
Oh, Jeremy, they beat you, dude.
You beat him. You beat him.
You're just a good
referring
listener.
to his notes.
Yes, mosaic.
Hey, well, look at the color of the last three beers.
It's beautiful.
Exactly.
I mean, there's
there's
not a whole lot of difference in color, but they all three taste completely different.
I feel like that's like
they
scene
sure
from
do.
Gladiator where he's walking through the wheat field and his hands
wheat field.
are tickling the tips of the golden wheat. That's what that looks
Tickling
like to
tips.
me.
Wow.
I feel like
Colby
whenever
is about to be reunited with his long-lost lover.
Hey, Mahoney, can I
Father of a murdered
All
son.
of these.
just one time, please tickle those tips?
Ew, I hated
Don't be mad at Nicholas. I'm good with alliteration.
See, I feel like you said that all of these taste so different, but I feel like they actually are like an evolution of. Because like if I go back and if I retaste, or at least they pair so well with each other that as I'm drinking Wee and going on to Big, that they pair so well that it's not like if I were to go drink some like Rogue IPA that I would get so much of just like, oh, like that just is so much different. You know what I mean? Like it's almost they complement the palate so well. And I really do like, and how we were kind of going with this, saying like it's a perfect flight.
Jeff just mentioned that Pilsner malt, and the Pilsner malt is the common thread between all of these beers. So that's kind of the bridge flavor that you're getting when you're tasting all three of these, but each one has dramatically different hops in it. You know what I mean? Kind of as you go through. So you can go from the earthy to kind of the earthy to fruity to just now we're in the full fruit basket, right? This is Skittle. This is Skittles to me.
Yeah, this is Mosaic. So you were right, Dave. Jeremy, where were you on this one, dude? I thought you were going to be the one to
I was
get
being
it.
fooled by Northern
And
Brewer,
Cashmere and Amarillo.
Oh, you threw Cashmere in this one.
It's a tricky one, but yeah. And it's I think it's self-evident that this beer is an IPA that could be aesthetically deceptive to anybody that thinks, especially if you really are into hazy IPAs. Like Kobe said, and he's absolutely right, you drink with your eyes first. And one of the things that we like to make sure that we're aware of is that the consumer does that. And what we want to make sure of is that you're not put off or unpleasantly surprised by what you taste because of what you saw. And I think this beer is beautiful. I mean, props to the team, props to the team here at Miramar behind me. Anybody that's not watching can't see it, but the brew house behind me, this is where they were able to scale up the prototype.
Such a gorgeous facility, by the way.
There's a bunch of challenges that come with.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man. I built it myself.
Jeff, I meant to ask you earlier.
Um,
I've got you full screen right now. Over your left shoulder screen right. What is that like? It looks like a farmhouse style building that's right over your shoulder.
A tiny home of
oh,
sorts.
let me see. Hold on.
It's
Hold on.
Mrs.
That's
O'Leary's
that's
barn.
that's what
Yeah.
Jeff
Yeah,
Mark
that-
lives with his family.
Yeah. Well, when I fight with my wife, that has a cot inside of it, and no,
It's the nicest doghouse
that used
ever.
to be. Yeah, it used to be our previous director of brewing's office, and he's left to pursue greater ventures, and so it sits vacant right now. But we have plans for it, and you can't see the other side of it, but it actually has a nice little balcony stretch that overlooks the whole brewery. There's a kegerator up there, and it's a place that you can actually hang out with each other with. And when that starts happening again, that office will convert itself to more of a gathering location.
It kind of
Hopefully,
looks like a
podcast
I
studio.
love that.
It kind of looks.
Do you have
like
it
a-
on
like a-
Airbnb?
It kind of looks like a barrel house, like from from a bourbon distillery or something like that. You know, that's I just like you know, once we get into the Victory at Sea High West, I can't, you know, like I cannot wait to get into that one because you're combining one of my favorite beers with one of my favorite distilleries, and I have yet to try. It's been sitting at my house for 2 weeks. And it's just been in my fridge. It's been looking me in the eye,
Right.
and we are
I
we
feel
are slowly
so
approaching that.
bad
We
for
are
you
2
right
beers away
now.
from that. What, you feel bad for me?
Yeah, I've already had one.
I mean, I showed restraint.
To hell with that.
So-
you know what?
so
I don't know
as
if
soon
I'm
as-
going to
as
wake
soon
up
as we
dead
get into
tomorrow. I'm going to
scoping-
drink it when I get it.
That's an awesome
As soon as we
mentality.
get into
Chug it on,
Sculpin
Jeremy.
and Victory at Sea, I'm going to let Colby take the reins on that because he has more of an intimate relationship with those beers. But before we exit the conversation about these 2 new releases, Wee and Big, yesterday I did a California Beer Week tasting for, you know, however many participants. And right afterwards, I ran back there so that I could help our brewers finish up a batch of the beer that you're drinking right now. And I just wanted to take this moment to give a huge shout out to the whole team, if they're listening or not, because this beer, although it seems very easy and simple, and that's our mission, is so that there's not too much complexity. It's a pain in the butt to make. And last night I threw in 1,000 pounds of dextrose, and that was just half of it. And it's all part of the process. But these guys back here, they break their backs brewing this beer, and Kobe used to break his back, and I break my back still from time to time, but it really is a labor of love. And so I just wanted to make sure that I got that through so that all the homies listening know that, hey, me and Kobe, man, we never forgot about the floor. We'll never forget about the hard work that it takes to make to brew this beer.
We wouldn't have survived COVID without them. They've been working on the floor the whole time. They've been making beer the whole time. We never shut down. So, I mean, it's amazing what those guys have done. Everybody at Ballast Point gives them a standing ovation. Standing ovation whenever they can. You know what I mean? Like
much like raising a child, it takes a village to brew a beer as well. You know, so I love that. I love that. You know, you've got a great team on your hands, and I would be remiss if I didn't, you know, because I know my team knows about my obsession with Disney, and one of the things that I love about Ballast Point, and I'm looking forward to, is that when Disney finally does reopen, that at Disneyland there is a Ballast Point in downtown Disney now, and that is, you know, I watched it get built from the ground up. We go a couple times a month, get down there, go visit, and I love that you guys are you know, at 2 of my favorite things. You've got craft beer, and you've got Ballast Point combined together at downtown Disney. I cannot wait until they reopen so I can go get 2 fixes with one stone and 1 annual pass that no longer is valid. That they refunded.
We're open in downtown Disney. So,
if you guys just start making Tommy Bahama shirts, like I think he'll pretty much marry you. It's the only thing that's missing right now.
I just love that Disney, you know, when you know, Disney is very particular when it comes to vetting the people who are going into downtown Disney. And the fact that you know, that you guys were able to build a beautiful new facility down there. I mean, I think it was only open for maybe 4 or 5 months, if that. before everything shut down, this time last year. But it's such a beautiful facility, and my wife doesn't drink, but I would drag her into there, when we were taking our little lunch breaks to go get some good craft beer and then go rally and ride 8,000 rides for the rest of the day. But if you're a big Disney and craft beer fan like myself, it's a marriage made in heaven, and I absolutely love it.
With that in mind, how has it been for you guys dealing with all of the challenges that that everyone's been dealing with COVID and everything else this past year? I mean, you guys being in the hospitality business as well as the actually producing products and great beers, have you guys found it to be an exceptionally challenging year for the brand and for your team as well? I mean, obviously there's things that everyone's dealing with, but how have you guys navigated some of the minefields that everyone's been dealing with in 2020 and 2021?
I just want to confirm what Jeff said, that Disney's open. Downtown Disney is actually open, so you can actually go there and still drink and everything.
We just can't ride any rides, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how much you drink at Ballast Point. Then everything's a ride.
Then the ride is the wife driving me back to the hotel, giving me the my Uber ride is a ride. Yeah,
it's like Space Mountain in my lift.
There's a long staircase there. That could be a ride probably at some point.
That's true. Up to the parking garage,
Tower of Terror.
Go to the Pixar parking garage.
Those are tough for us even when we're sober.
For us personally, one of the biggest challenges was our new owners. They got the brewery on March 2nd, where they got the keys basically. Great timing, right? We had a bunch of stuff set up, but what's been fun is just seeing how everybody's kind of reacting. Initially, we were buying wholesale food from some of our purveyors, and we were allowing employees to purchase that in the beginning. And then we've been doing special releases for the employees. To say that it's been challenging is a little bit, I don't know, that's not the right word. It's been tough. I mean, it's been tough for everybody in the business. I don't know of any brewery that hasn't, been really affected by this, not only just by sales, but just everything that comes along with keeping your employees safe, which is kind of the most important thing ever. So, how like I said earlier, having those guys working so hard, you know what I mean? And keeping the ship afloat,
right.
Bailing out the beer out of the bottom of the boat. So we're still floating. I mean, it's been amazing to see the whole team step up and just, one of the things that I've learned at Ballast Point, the only consistent thing is change. So, we have a great staff that has been used to change over the years. So to have this thrown at us and to see how we're kind of flexing, and, Jeff and I have been doing a dedicated to the craft podcast this whole time. So we've got a bunch of really great information about the brewery, and we're helping promote other breweries that, might need help, or, we're just trying to help out other people, helping out the California scene, the San Diego scene. It's just kind of, we're all in the same boat, waiting for that high tide.
Dave,
how cool though that, I mean, like there's so many people that have had to kind of turtle up during the pandemic and not been able to do much, that you guys have been able to innovate. And for the people that haven't been able to participate because of everything that's been going on, you guys have been working on so much stuff that when they're able to come back and experience Ballast Point as maybe they have in the past or for the first time, you guys will have this whole kind of bevy of new things to present to them. I think that's a testament to you guys and how hard you work behind the scenes, even when times are tough.
One of the things that I want to, and the new owners for sure. But one of the things that people don't necessarily think about from time to time is that, we were able to pivot this way, and thank God that we were able to stay afloat and this pirate ship is still sailing. But we talk about Kobe was talking about the hard workers on the floor, everybody that's continuing to brew the beer, the front line. But you gotta consider the consumer too. So everybody had it rough, right? And this was a beautiful opportunity. If you're going to look at the pint half full in this case, everybody had an opportunity to vote conscientiously with their dollar, and they were going to their stores and they were saying, hey man, I don't got a lot right now, and I don't know if I'm gonna have any next week, but I want to get some beer. I want to support local. I want to support a company. And in those moments, you're able to see who your true fans are, and you're also able to see what you put out there as a brand. People bought us because they trusted us. And people that bought us and continue to buy us know that when they buy our beer, they're getting something that we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into, and it's become apparent, right? So COVID has been a hard sucker punch, but at least for the most part, everybody was able to really start to pick and choose what they really like, what they really value, and it changed the market that way. And so I feel fortunate that we're still in business, but I feel even more satisfaction knowing that people started to think about where their buck was going when it came to craft beer.
And you know what? I think you guys have really trailblazed in many ways over the years. And one of the things that I hate that the craft beer nerds do, and I call them out on a regular basis, when somebody has
insulted.
Well, no, well, you're not.
I'm just kidding.
You don't fall into this category, but I'll call it the craft beer nerds. When somebody has success, then all of a sudden they're not good anymore. What do you think got them that success? Good quality products, amazing, an amazing staff, amazing recipes, like, just blood, sweat, and tears. Like I said before, that's what pays off. That's what takes you to the next level. And Ballast Point, is one of the OGs. I mean, there's a couple of West Coast breweries that I look at that I go, wow, these are the guys who have done amazing things, and Ballast Point is on the Mount Rushmore of that. I mean, you can't deny it. Like the beer is great. The beer continues to drink great. It doesn't matter who owned it. Doesn't matter who owns it now. It has always been good because the people, the fact that Colby has been there since the 90s, nothing has changed. It doesn't matter. Everybody goes to work day in, day out, doing what they do. Just because they love what they do, because who your boss is or who owns the company doesn't change any of that.
Right.
And I love that it's all come kind of full circle to where we are today. We're drinking some amazing beers, the Wee Gus, the Big Gus, 2 new great innovations from you guys, and I cannot wait for it to get warm outside. I mean, you don't even need to wait for it to get warm outside because those are absolutely amazing beers. What you guys have done with Victory at Sea, Sculpin has been one of the staple West Coast IPAs forever now, and if you've noticed, I've got the Sculpin rotating in the middle right now. I don't know if anybody else is ready for a new beer, but
Jeremy,
oh,
is
yeah.
already poured in.
When-
I'm
One last thing.
I'm into it. Go ahead, Colby.
Is it wrong for me to want grouper tacos?
no,
both of the
I
Gus's?
would
I
kill
wanna
for
try it.
a grouper fish taco right now.
No, I don't know.
Oh,
Is it weird?
I would
Might be weird.
I would
I don't
punch
know.
my grandma
Do you call
in the
it-
face right now for a blue water taco, grouper, halibut, I don't care, and some waffle fries.
Oh.
Oh, God, give me that right now, please.
Yes.
Oh, man.
That's what I want.
Sorry, Grandma. Sorry, Grandma.
Taco
I love
Gus.
you.
Taco Gus.
So
Well, dude,
we got the
You said
script.
Ballast Point was on the Mount Rushmore of breweries, and there's plenty of people that would argue that. But I think we're on the list, right? And Sculpin is on the list or Mount Rushmore of, at least when it comes to West Coast IPAs. And so Kobe can tell you all about it. But
Jeff, there's nobody
This
who
is a
doesn't
beer that
remember
changed
being in
my
San
life.
Diego and having to hunt the new batch of Sculpin that came out. It's like you were on bulletin boards because you knew as soon as that hit the brewery, you had to be there to get it. It was waiting in line beer, and if you didn't, you were SOL till the next batch got done. And that will always be.
I
this
fell
beer.
as- I
Two-bottle
spent a
limit.
night. I spent a night on a beach in OB because of this beer right here, and
Just
I
one?
love it.
Then you did
Thank
it
you.
wrong. You needed to spin
No,
it.
I
at
spent the
least
night on the
midnight.
couch because of this beer.
You're
Multiple.
welcome.
Sculpin's one of as I said, the Grapefruit Sculpin, one of our highest rated IPAs ever when it first came out. I mean, blew my socks off. I mean, just absolutely amazing. The OG Sculpin, again, Mount Rushmore of West Coast IPAs, without a doubt. Nothing has changed. It is pure quality. It is when you think of West Coast IPA, I think Sculpin. That is there. But I've got a fun story. So there's a brewery, or there's a brew pub here in Las Vegas called Aces and Ales, and we've done a lot of work with them over the years. And they
Great spot.
When Dave and I first, I think we first came back or first started our morning show. This is like 2010, 2011. I can't remember the exact year, but we're there and I order, I go to the bartender. She knows I'm a big IPA guy. And I'm like, whatever your new IPA is. She's, I got some from Ballast Point. Got Sculpin. I'm like, great, I'll take it. What she didn't tell me though, it was the habanero Sculpin. And so I take a drink of the habanero Sculpin.
What a dirty prank.
And I think that I'm having a heart attack. I'm like, something is wrong here. I'm like, this is not, I'm like, it tastes amazing, but like something visceral in my body.
Head's hot.
And it was, and I love it so much, and then like, once I figured out what it was and I go, hey, what's going on with this? She's, oh, it's the habanero Sculpin. Oh, okay. It would have been nice for you to tell me that beforehand so I could have prepared myself. But even as pepper beers go, I love pepper beers. I love pepper beers and IPAs, and the habanero Sculpin, that release was so good. And it's still one of my absolute favorite beers, even though I thought I was dying when I was drinking it. But if I was going to die that day, that I was going out the way that I want to, with something, with a great beer in my hand. But a fantastic beer, the habanero Sculpin, the OG Sculpin. We just featured the Aloha Hazy Sculpin on Friday's show, and
nice.
Amazing, like, I mean, there's, I don't know how you guys classify it, and I'm curious to find out, because, you look at it and it's clear, and it's beautiful. It's a piece of art to look at. And when you drink it, it's got that a little bit of that juiciness, but also a nice big hop finish. I call it like a West Coast hazy, because I mean, a lot of those New England, the East Coast hazies are super hazy, very juicy, very thick. Whereas your Aloha hazy was not. It was easy to drink. It was light. It was refreshing, and I love that it has been added to your arsenal of year-round available beers.
It's funny.
It is our coolest Sculpin.
It's funny you bring up the habanero and the Aloha, because Colby and I have done many shows where we've done beer and food pairings, and we've talked about brewing some of the beers. And I do believe, Colby, you can quote me, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the quote was, I'm just as much sous chef as I am brewer with some of these beers, because there's a lot of ingredients and a lot of love that goes into each one of these things, and it's all real. It's not derivative. It's not extract. You are actually getting.
Why make something you don't want to drink, right? I mean, that's like, I don't know a brewer on this planet who's like, I want to drink this with something I love, and that's what I love, the love, as you mentioned, Jeremy, that goes into these beers, because it's like, I want to make something I want to drink, just like, I think our radio show, I make a radio show that I would like to listen to.
This is a pioneering IPA.
And a recipe that came out of Homebrew Mart too, right, Colby?
Yeah.
Colby, tell everybody, man.
God, I mean, it's just like, that's so loaded. I mean, you guys just, loaded the slingshot as much as you possibly could for me. Jeremy and I have done a lot of time on air on the microphone, and the beer has, changed as much as Jeremy and I have. We've kind of created a family with the Sculpin, which I think is the cooler thing, is taking that original Sculpin that basically came out of just wanting employees to hang out a little bit more at Ballast Point and learn more, and not necessarily want to run off and go to another brewery right away because they weren't brewing. It was more about the home brew mart kind of feeling at the time. And at the time, we were starting to open up the Scripps Ranch location. It was around 2005. We had a couple extra small fermenters down at Home Brew Mart. I had a couple guys that worked at Home Brew Mart and loved local pub O'Brien's. They were up there all the time. They just brewed these amazing IPAs. They used a lot of ingredients that I used. We were starting to get these incredible hops in. Amarillo had been out for a few years already. Simcoe was kind of the new hot, super juicy, kind of, rotten tropical fruit kind of flavor to it. And I was kind of looking at these guys' recipes, and they won a bunch of awards, but they were kind of doing the same recipe. And so I basically kind of put them together. I sprinkled in some stuff, and I'm like, hey, let's brew on the big brew house. You hadn't done that yet. And we'll make some beer, and you can drink it at O'Brien's. It was just kind of a nice and simple. I just wanted to stoke those guys out a little bit. There was no dominating the world aspect to it in any way whatsoever. The hops were hard to find. There wasn't a lot of them being grown. There weren't acres and acres being contracted out at the time. So it just started out as something that was different than our current IPA. We were doing Big Eye IPA from 2000. So we were open 4 years before we even made an IPA, Big Eye. The original brewer was very European focused, and he didn't like big bitter beers. And, again, going back to all the home brewers, that's what we were drinking, basically. Home brewing was big IPAs. So this beer, Sculpin, I always said Big Eyes is kind of 1990s IPA, whereas it would have some more body to it, some more color to it, whereas Sculpin is all light, kind of like the beers that we've been drinking this whole time. It was based more on getting body out of a little bit more alcohol, a lot of dry hopping, a lot of oils being added to the beer, and just those big tropical flavors that were coming out of it were not the orange and pine that you were getting out of all IPAs at the time. So it was really stuck out to a lot of people. And I think it was kind of one of the first IPAs to get into packaging fast enough to really make it, stick a little bit more. Plus, that's when Rate Beer was just starting to come out. Beer Advocate was just starting right then. So we were getting a lot of good word of mouth from it that way. Jerry mentioned coming into the store. We literally had a 2-bottle limit at one time. I thought, we thought we were a bunch of monks in San Diego divvying out their special beer,
Dude, But that was the culture at that point, because IPAs were really starting to raise their hands in San Diego, and that was the king, man. It was that and Nelson from Alpine.
Duet was Amarillo Simcoe. So, everybody kind of had their, everybody was kind of playing off of those new types of hop varieties. And you just see that continuing with the innovation, like we talked about earlier. And then Sculpin, eventually we kind of figured out that, if you started picking out flavors of Sculpin, you could add that, you could accentuate that. So that's kind of where grapefruit Sculpin came out of. And if you think about habanero has a very tropical, if you can get past, the sweating heat, it actually has, if you're doing it right, it's got a very fruity tropical flavor. That's why it meshed so well with Sculpin. The Aloha Sculpin, there's no fruit in that at all. That's just straight up some extra hops in there. It's the only one that we do a different yeast strain in, which adds some different hoppiness to it. And the beer's grown just as like we have. When you earlier said things don't change, I do have to disagree a little bit, because we're always changing. You know what I mean? That's such a statement that, the key was that you're still talking about us even after all this change. You're still talking about the quality of the beer. We're still doing 300 checkpoints at our lab with every single beer that we make. So this kind of consistency that's growing up, and then starting to pick out those flavors for it, you can really start to spotlight, where the different flavors came from for Sculpin, just because they are those flavors that are existing already. They're just kind of punched out a little bit more in the family of Sculpins.
Where do you see the IPA world going next? I mean, or where do you want to take? Obviously you've got a world-class brand. You've got world-class beers. The Sculpin brand is iconic. What do you want to innovate next with inside the world of IPAs?
I'm just always looking forward to new hop strains. I mean, I think that's what everybody's kind of looking forward to. In the beginning, it used to have to go through universities for new hop strains to come out, and it would take, anywhere from like 7 to 12 years to put a new hop strain out on the market. But now people are just starting to crossbreed and put things out, and you're getting these proprietary hops that are registered trademarks, and things are coming out so much faster. There's a bunch of neo-Mexican hops that are all being crossed to take low water so that we can start growing them down here in the Southwest a little bit more. They can get down into Mexico and TJ and that whole huge scene down there a little bit more. So I think, the innovation goes back to the product. We're going to get better malt. We're going to continue with yeast strains, that are going to come out and do different things for the hops, or that, literally do different things for the hops during the chemistry of the beer, and just all that kind of different stuff. I think that to me is what's going to keep it evergreen.
I mean, the evolution.
Yeah.
I mean, I love a West Coast IPA. It's what got me into the world of craft beer. It's kept me there, but I just love all the different variants. There's something for every mood, every day. It's just all. I love the chemistry. I love the art. It's all of this. There's so many different factors that go into creating something new, and it seems like you guys are constantly innovating, and but you can go back to something that is 15 years old.
What Food is trying to do.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Jeff, real quick. I'd like to go back to just being an IPA again, and not being a marketing term.
Red Cap.
I feel like
IPA,
I feel like in a lot of ways it's become a marketing term. Where we're trying to describe bitter and hoppy and nuances, and there's certain parameters that an IPA should fall into. So if you're doing something at a super low amber ale IBU, is that still an IPA? I don't know. You know what I mean? IPA is just kind of the blanket term for hopped beers, extra hopped beers. I don't know. So hopefully it just kind of reverts back around as the new generation of craft beer drinkers come out of their seltzer cocoon and carbonated cotton candy cocoon, and what I mean.
I'm sick of it too.
Just just kind of let their palates grow up a little bit more than anything.
I think Colby said it the best way. And this is anytime that I host a tasting, anytime that I host a beer dinner, I always want to remind people that no one's right, no one's wrong. And all I'm trying to do is wreck your palate for the better. Acclimate it to whatever we were trying to do. And one of the main points is when we brew a beer and we're looking to enhance a certain flavor component, and we're looking to enhance this because we think it's going to be good, we're just brewing beer that we want to drink. But at the end of the day, if the information and the product helps you discover your palate better, then we've done our job. It's too expensive. Look, man, you go out to your favorite restaurant and you order a meal that has a bunch of costs taxed onto it, and a beer that has a bunch of margins taxed onto it. I would love for you to just know your palate. That's it. Even if it's not our beer that you're enjoying, figure out what you like and what you don't like, so that when you go out there and you start voting with your purchase power, you understand what your palate is doing, and you understand what you like and you don't like. It just makes life that much more enjoyable for you. I make beer because I want it to enhance your life in a particular way. And you not liking us is it should just be a marker saying, I didn't like this style, I didn't like this particular flavor, and I'm going to continue to explore my palate. Colby has a long history of doing that. That's why his beers have been so balanced, and some people like it and some people don't. And it's beautiful when somebody says that they don't like Ballast Point beer, and I'm talking to them and they tell me why they don't like it. I love that. Like, if they actually communicate why they don't like it. And I'm just like, oh, you're figuring it out, man. You're figuring out your palate.
See, I'm the other way. What somebody tells me they don't like my radio show, I fight them immediately.
You want the Sculpin, you want the Sculpin IPA to stop the steal, is what you're saying.
Stop the steal, guys. That's basically what I was trying to say. I didn't wear that. I didn't wear the hat or bring the cardboard Sharpie written thing. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying.
I mean, you guys have
You were
been
a beer
icons
schmuck.
of the craft beer world for decades now, and I just don't see it. You know, like when somebody says I don't like that, like how do you like? I mean, I get there's something for everybody, but you have really crafted some amazing beers, and you know, there's a reason why you have been as successful as you have, because this is good quality beer, and I love that I can go to my grocery store. I love that I can go to a gas station in any city on the West Coast and find you guys. And that's the thing that tickles me about craft beer. I remember driving to the craft beer store, when I grew up in St. Louis, I would have to drive for 45 minutes to go to one store and hope that they had the beer that I was looking for or something in stock. But now, the proliferation of what you guys do has hit like everywhere, and I love that, because I don't necessarily think that the fact that you guys are available as many places you are is a good thing. That is not a hindrance, and there's a reason why, because it's good, and you have been good for as long as you have.
The reputation sustains with Ballast Point, and Mahoney, you and I experienced this. Was it a year or 2 years ago? It was our last big outing out of state before COVID. And we were out until maybe 4 a.m. and we could not find beer where we were at. But the one beer we found was Ballast
Chicago.
Point.
Yep.
Yes.
And we did.
And we found
Yeah.
Ballast
We
Point.
bought the hell out of it. And then
Hell
we took
yeah,
it
we
back to
As
the
you
hotel,
should. As you
we-
should.
And we were heroes. And we were heroes.
Hey, man, that's
Well,
an underestimated thing, dude. Yo, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you just said that. You just said it. We would like to make the beer that we drink, and then hopefully other people like to drink it too. And luckily, it's kind of worked out that way. It's an overly simple way of looking at it, but there's a lot that goes behind it. But when it comes down to it, we really try hard to drink beers Yeah, we drink beers we like, and we make beers we like. So yeah.
I mean, isn't that the story of like almost every successful brand though? I mean, you always hear how, South Park has been this, comedy that's been going on for the past, 25 years, same thing. And what works for them is just if they can make each other laugh, then they go, okay, yeah, that's going to make the episode, right? And it's because it's funny to them and they think it's going to work, right? If you're good at what you do and it truly delights you, then it's probably going to delight everyone else too. So the philosophy seems to check out. It really does.
Yeah.
And
there's
most
an
people
enthusiasm
forget
behind it.
Yeah.
Most people forget how grounded we are because of Homebrew Mart. And because of Homebrew Mart, we like all styles of beer. You know what I mean? So you can come into Ballast Point and, you can get everything from, Berliner Weiss all the way up to barrel-aged sours and everything in between. So, and we've always been that way. And it's mostly because of the homebrewers like Jeremy in San Diego. I think it keeps us grounded in a way that other breweries don't have the same advantage.
Well, and that's what we love to see.
What-
I mean, you had the success, but you keep you know where you came from, and that's why you continue to have the success that you do.
Well, there's a beautiful aspect to it too. I grew a day in my life before I started at Ballast Point. I quit my job to be the weekend graveyard janitor at Ballast Point back in 2012. And I kid you not, I didn't want the job because I was a home brewer, or to tell you the truth, most people don't want to hear this, but that I even liked beer all that much. I had seen that there was a community being built around it, and it was a very nice community. And what did I do while I was putting myself through nursing school? I'd like to go and have myself a good beer somewhere at a good bar. And I used to visit the places, and I used to frequent the places that had a good vibe. And I'm going to be honest, now going back to some of those places that I fell in love with before I was even in craft beer, they were selling mediocre beer, but I added a couple of points to that rating because I was having such a good time. And so the missing ingredient for me has always been, can I like this? Do I like the people behind it? I met Kobe he put a different perspective of what craft beer could be into my mind, and so I started appreciating it more. It wasn't through my palate. It was organically evolving through a mixture of balance in the product and basically the philosophy behind a brand. And that's how I shop. And that's what I put into my career here with Ballast Point. It's like, hey man, we're more than just beer. We're also a group of guys that like to exchange positive ideas, and we look out for each other and stuff like that. And that's a secret ingredient, man. That is a secret ingredient.
One of my favorite Colby memories is him always beating into my head the Ballast Point beers, balanced and drinkable, over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
They're balanced. The flavors, no matter what the beer is, it's balanced and drinkable every time.
And I love that you kept it to 2 points. You're like, hey, everyone's drinking beer here. It's just balanced and drinkable. We don't have to have like 5 things. It's 2.
Dave, have you ever listened to an episode of the Rock and Roll Happy Hour? Do you know how schnockered we are by the end of that hour?
I mean, to be honest, we're 4 beers deep right now, and I'm feeling, even though they've all been very easy drinking, I'm like, okay, I feel
good on you, man. Hey, while we crack open the next beer, let's compliment your backdrop, because we're about to crack open Victory at Sea, and you got these big Victory at Sea bandanas, dude. Those are so sick.
Dude, you guys did a beautiful job with the artwork, and as like every dude, right? Like you just love like pirate shit, you're just like, yeah, but like you guys have harnessed this, and I mean, it's one thing to say like the bandanas look cool, but I mean, I don't know, Mahoney, if you can get close on this bottle, but I mean, this is truly work of art. It really is just a beautiful creature here. Look at that thing. I mean, it is intricate.
I don't need to get close on your bottle. I've got my own bottle that I filled.
Look at that.
Look at that beautiful beer footage.
Who is in charge of this? This is amazing.
This is what he does in his downtime, my friends. This is what he does in his downtime.
This is ridiculous, you guys. You guys can't be that good visually.
I mean, they're not. But
Susan, spin
awesome.
it faster. Come on. Let's go. We got to get to the front. Here we go. Look at that.
There it is.
Oh wait, there we go. There we go. Oh,
I just want the microwave.
You can
I want the
control it.
microwave sound while it's playing. Can you do like?
Mahoney.
Wait, who's controlling that?
Mahoney does not know how to microwave at half power, by the way.
All right, guys, walk the plank. Pop this open.
I've been waiting weeks for this. I have been waiting weeks for this.
How long have you had it out of the
Say
cooler?
goodnight.
How long have you had it out of the
I was
cooler?
so
There
Mahoney?
goes your
Find it out.
Saturday.
Well, this sold out so quick in Las Vegas, and it went just and everywhere it was released, because when you take let me grab some.
Oh, we got the High West
As you
bottle
can
coming
tell,
out. Oh, we got a double rye. What are you rocking?
Some little Midwinter's Night Dram right there.
Oh,
I can see
wow.
Colby with his High West.
That's
over
a
there.
flex.
But I mean,
A little double rye going on.
one of the best West Coast distilleries on the planet. I love what High West is doing, but the fact that I was able to find this in the wild, and then you guys sent us some more, I was like, oh, I get to keep all 4 now, because I only thought I was going to be able to keep 1 of the 4 since we have 4 members on the show, and I'm like, oh, this is truly a wonderful gift that you guys have given us. But it's been sitting in my fridge for 2 weeks now, and I've been waiting, and I cannot wait to crack this.
Do it.
So,
it.
Mahoney, if you haven't had it out of the fridge for at least 10 minutes, you have to wait, because it needs to reach appropriate temperature.
This has been out for like 30 minutes. I pulled it out of my cooler.
It's aged. It's
Yeah,
30-minute
yeah,
aged. It's
how
way
dare I
better.
question?
Mine's been out for about minutes as
Sounds
well,
like a
so.
beer nerd. Beer nerd.
I am, and
Oh,
that's
man.
why you love me, because I'm a beer
I'm
nerd.
a beer
Yes,
slut. I will drink all the beers. That's
Drink,
the thing. Like I will try
please.
whatever. Like if it's good, it's good. If it's good, it's good.
Drink at appropriate temperatures,
Okay, so
because
I-
you're
I could-
you're
just
losing
the
flavor.
Smell of that just smells.
Just remember, cold suppresses
Dave's like,
flavor.
what is
So when the
going on?
mountains turn blue, you are not
So good.
tasting everything you need to taste.
Isn't it great?
Cheers.
Ooh, that no.
Cheers,
Yeah,
salud,
so-
caballeros.
so-
Hold on, I want to take a picture. Can everybody hold this up real quick so that I could take a picture for the gram for my own selfish purposes? Do this.
Of course.
Boom. Boom. This is so beautiful. It is so beautiful.
So while you guys
like
take your
liquid
first sip, let me
chocolate.
just read the bottle here. Imperial Porter with coffee and vanilla flavors, aged in the High West bourbon and rye barrels. And when you take a
Oh
pull,
my gosh.
you go, okay, this thing is so smooth and it is so good. It
What's the
drinks
ABV on this again?
It is so 12%.
12.
Ooh.
Good night.
12 ounces,
and
12,
it-
12 ABV.
and it dri-
works out perfect.
It drinks like a 6. I mean, it's
I love
so smooth. It's great, man. I'm gonna
We
go.
have
fill
a
up some
This is a great
episode-
beer. This is a great beer.
We have an
I'm building
episode
the-
of dedicated to the craft coming out where Colby, the owner of Cafe Calabria, Mr. Arnie Holt, who basically produced this proprietary blend of coffee that we use for this beer,
Wait, hold
and
on.
myself. Yeah, we all talked. And
Stop
yeah,
the
yeah,
presses.
Jeremy.
You're still using local San Diego coffee from Cafe Calabria for this beer? No.
Always have.
Did I let the
Always
cat out
have.
of the bag?
Well, I mean, you figure
Yeah.
with having all this lineage behind the brand, you would eventually leave Cafe Calabria to find somebody
Well
who could do
said.
it cheaper and more.
Nope, Starbucks wasn't an option.
Oh wow, surprising.
No, we're not. No.
Good.
No.
Good.
We've been supporting local as much as we possibly could.
God, I'm so happy.
Part of the yeah.
So
It's part of our mantra in a lot of ways. It's why wouldn't we? And plus he's our friend. can't screw around with your friends, you know what I mean?
buddy.
Like
When you
Yeah,
do
I
business
mean,
with your
come
friends
on.
who do good work and they provide an amazing product, I mean, like it's a no-brainer, right?
seems
Yeah.
easy.
Oh, it's so good.
Now this barrel aged version, and I say this, and most people think I'm being dramatic, but I'm being quite honest. You'll never have it again. As soon as this batch is gone, it's gone. And even if it does come back in some form or fashion, it will be from another palette. It will be from another blender, and it's not going to have the same notes, even subtle notes. So
you're telling me
I always say
I
this in the
need
beer
to- I need
dinners.
to- I need to
Once this
cellar
is gone,
this?
it's gone.
I should
What's
sell
up?
her this. Is that what you're telling me, Jeff?
Hey man,
Yeah,
Colby
deal.
can convince me to sell her anything.
Hey, I've drank
No,
through
you
my
can do
COVID
this for another
cellar,
3
so
years.
I need to start anew.
Another
This is a
3
great
years,
place to
really?
begin.
Okay. So, how did you
Jeremy-
guys decide on High West as the distillery that you were going to, work with and decide to barrel age Victory at Sea?
High West was part of the Constellation family. So it was kind of an easy go-to at the time, We'd kind of been bouncing all around and sourcing barrels from all different places in Victory at Seas in the past. But once we started thinking about opening a facility specifically for barrel aging and we wanted to ramp up production, then, we were going to go towards the family, that was a part of the time. And like you were saying, even before they had their own distillery and they were just blending High West, it's really good. I mean, it's
That
a really
MGP
good
stuff
product.
The MGP
Amazing.
is
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
what they,
I mean,
what they
it's
pull out of that, but there's stuff that they're pulling out themselves now. I mean, is pretty damn amazing. Like the Midwinter's Night Dram is one of the best bourbons on the market. Like, and I have to
yeah.
fight people tooth and nail to get my hands on those bottles.
Yeah, those are hard to find. The Yippee-Ki-Yay. Yippee-Ki-Yay is one of my favorites
let me
too. You
get
got
you
one of
to pull
those
out a
back
bottle.
there?
He has it. He has it.
Yeah.
There it is.
That's a good one. It's aged in vermouth barrels, which is
Yep.
why it's like a
Weird.
Manhattan in a bottle. It's kind of nice.
So awesome.
But having the not only the quality and the consistency, but the volume was really important at the time. So it was just it was a great marriage. And if you look at the bottom of this bottle, you'll see that it was packaged just over 3 years ago, which means that went into these High West barrels, and it was a combination of rye and whiskey barrels. It was actually aged for about 6 to 8 months before it went into the bottle. So you're looking at a 3.5-year-old beer that we're still retailing because our lab, which is amazing, it keeps extending out the expiration date, basically. So
28 Feb
what I
19.
found with Victory at Sea is because we use the cold coffee It's a cold coffee edition. We're brewing the coffee cold. The stability holds up. Like it just lasts forever. And then the fact that, there's the alcohol in there, and then, the lower hop amounts, it just, it becomes a living product. And it's, whereas it's more like a porter in the beginning because the hops are straightforward, as the hops fall off and maybe even some of the acidity from some of the malts fall off, then, that barrel aging, that big vanilla, the almost like just dark cocoa flavors start coming. I mean, it's like liquid chocolate. It's like carbonated chocolate in a lot of ways.
Now,
And
let me ask you a
even
question.
even the regular, hold on real quick, but even the regular Victory at Sea, I mean, I've had 9-year-old, 10, 11-year-old bottles that I've stored in my garage. They're still good. You know what I mean? The oxidation is it doesn't get too sherry. I think right around 7-8 years is the perfect peak. So, you buy a case, you drink a 6-pack, and then you put the other 4 6-packs under your house and forget about it.
I was actually going to ask that
You're,
question.
you're assuming that some of us have willpower and are able to save things for later. You're overestimating.
That's why
this.
you got to put it under the house where you can't get to it
Under
easily.
the house.
It actually takes like literally down and under.
So it's hard. It's hard to bullet point exactly where to drink a beer like this, because once you put it in the barrel, things come out of it that you can't control. Wild yeasts are in there. They work as well. If you grab this beer today, how long would you recommend sitting on it? Because I drank through my entire cellar during COVID, and I had a lot of beers that were barrel aged like this that have absolutely turned to sour vinegar. 3 years?
3 more years, no problem.
3
Yep.
years. 3 years, and that's peak drinking.
100%. Yep.
So,
Because you got to realize we're not only storing the beer for you, which is a value, but we have the lab checking it all the time for you. And we're not going to sell it if it doesn't have, a shelf life that we're going to think it's going to sit in a store for the next year or two.
I mean, considering this was February 28th of 2019, I appreciate you cellaring this beer for me, because my cellar isn't as kind as yours.
Well, listen, dude. Listen to all your listeners. To all your listeners, we had a team of 3. I did a stint there for about 6 months in the barrel aging facility, but we had a team of 3, and their job was to fill up various barrels of High West with Victory at Sea. Now, it's going to sound like a vacation, but really on day 3 of doing this, it's not. You'd roll into work, and you'd have hundreds of barrels full of Victory at Sea lined up with holes drilled into them with a nail. And you pull the nails, and the team was responsible for seeing which ones work and which ones don't. Now, that's very, very subjective. And so they were utilizing their perception of what they wanted to create what was going to be the master blend. So if you can imagine, you have a warehouse full of High West barrels, full of Victory at Sea. Some of them, like Jeremy said, are contaminated. Some aren't, just because that's the nature of it. They breathe. So you're dealing with nature at the same time. Temperature affects it. A bunch of things affect it. And so these guys were going down and plucking samples of each and every barrel, saying, this one passes, this one shouldn't be in it, this one should be in it, this one doesn't pass, so on and so forth. And then once you kind of distill it down to a section of barrels that are good, then you really start to get very specific and very meticulous about what you want from the final batch. So this beer right here, this Victory at Sea, it's a very long process. It's a very long process. And it's very unique in that what you're tasting is exactly what that team of 3 wanted to be expressed in that particular blend. So I get really giddy about this. I know Colby gets really giddy about it because he understands all that, but a lot of people shy away or kind of just pass by barrel-aged beers, don't really pay too much. Oh, they're too expensive for what it is. It's beautiful. It's a piece of art.
Mahoney,
are
you all right? Do we need to get to a doctor?
No. People passing up barrel-aged beers. I want to like you. These are so okay. Here we go. I don't do this.
Wait,
calm down.
Hold on. Mahoney, let me get my soapbox. It's in the back, right over here. Hold on, let me get it for you.
I've never. Ian can attest. I've never done this on a beer fest. I've never given a live rating. I
Here
never
we
have.
go. Here we go.
No. I legitimately have never given a live rating on a beer. Our highest rated beer to date has been the Napa Parabola 2019 from Firestone Walker.
Okay.
The
Fair enough.
High
Good.
West Victory at Sea 2018 batch is as good, if not better. This is a 4.8 beer. Period.
Holy shit! Holy shit! That just happened. That just
This
happened.
beer-
Could I get a clip of that to send it to Steven Anderson, the barrel
Yes.
aging director? I want him to hear that. He's gonna
This
cry.
is one of the best. I mean, like porters don't get the love that they deserve, and I love an imperial stout. This has blown my mind. 12%. It is perfect. It is rich. It is complex. It is so easy to drink. I don't taste any alcohol. This is a delight in my mouth. This is art. It is truly, unequivocally art, and I don't know if I've drank a better beer in my life. This may be the best beer I've ever had.
Dude, you're gonna make me cry,
Colby,
dude.
over to you.
Well, I'm
He
doing a
just
High
took a
West.
shot of High West.
you
I'm
just
just
shot
drinking
High
High
West?
West right now. So
Yeah.
I can, dude.
I
That's
mean,
what I'm supposed to be
without
doing.
That's the
doubt,
biggest.
this-
That's the biggest compliment that I've ever heard for this beer because you put it at
Back that
in
up
a
with a shot of
particular
my own.
tier with Parabola. Oh,
Oh, a little devil share.
what's going on here?
That's batch 2, baby, right
So,
there.
so let me just read a couple of the comments. Our boy Edge said, "I'm licking my lips. It's so tasty." Z said, "Sort of drunk. Also, I'm not, but cool." Razor said, "Yay!" Texas girl said, "Yes, 5 out of 5." Beef said, "Mahoney just had a beergasm." Z also added, "Yeah, he's excited." Paiute said, "Damn, I need some of that." And
Still one of my
Carlos just said, "Yeet." So I think that's a full on endorsement, guys. That's some strong stuff right there.
It is
Amazing. And I'm over here on Grinder, and Johnny Be Good 69 says, Mahoney, please unbutton your shirt again.
Hey,
That's
let me
weird.
shout out to
don't
my
know.
guy Big Sly who clipped that for us. So thank you.
Nice.
Okay, hey you guys,
Amazing, guys.
hey you
I
guys,
mean-
real
and-
quick because we're all on a good one now. We've all had Victory at Sea. Actually, what we've all had is a variant of Victory at Sea, which is the barrel age, and it changes quite complex change from its original form to this barrel age form. But this is a perfect place to plug real quick that we do Victory at Sea Day. And we had a skip last year, 2020. And so we've extended it a week for everybody this year. So it's Victory at Sea Days. And if you go onto our website and you click the link to the tickets, hopefully they're still available because they're going hot. You will be able to get a laundry list of different varieties of Victory at Sea. That's what it is. Victory at Sea became so popular and it's so versatile that we were able to make it basically it's an extravaganza every year where we take Victory at Sea and we infuse it with a bunch of different flavors. And real quick, this year, if you get your ticket and you swing by, you'll get a taster flight of 4 of the following varieties. Real quick, Victory at Sea will have Victory at Sea Mexican hot chocolate.
Oh,
Victory
yeah.
at Cereal, which is where we put berryless Captain Crunch into it and some and it's one of the best. It's one of the best varieties. Oreo Victory at Sea,
Get out of
double shot espresso Victory at Sea, Reaper Cussive Victory at Sea.
Wait, does it
Carolina
Reaper peppers in it?
I need to be on that.
Extra limited premium select reserve Victory at Sea, whatever the hell that is. Sounds good. You should have that one.
Super secret.
Vegan strawberry smoothie Victory at Sea,
Oof.
and what we are all drinking here, barrel aged Victory at Sea. So if that didn't
Nice.
excite you a little bit, I don't
I'm
know what's wrong with
excited.
you.
I'm excited.
This is a beautiful beer. It is a masterpiece. We have drank a menagerie of magnificent beers to this point, and this is the literal coup de grace of the beers that we have drank tonight. And I am so, as Jeremy said,
Jeff.
kind of perturbed at myself that
He's in love.
I did not drink this earlier,
Yep.
but I mean, I love that we are drinking this live on the air for the first time, and that this is just pure elegance. The porters don't get the love that they deserve, and this is the best, unequivocally, the best porter I've ever had.
Mahoney, imagine,
You said it right.
Imagine we had met each other at the pearly gates after I died and after you died, and I drank this beer before I died, and you missed it because you died the next day and you waited. Would you be pissed?
I would be. I would say, hey man, I don't
Specific question.
deserve to be here. Send me elsewhere. Send me to purgatory.
Him and St. Peter would both be very upset. Yes.
But a beautiful
hurts.
beer. I have to go. I am literally, as soon as this broadcast is over, I'm going to make my wife drive me to the store that I know still has 2 4-packs of this left, and I am buying them because this is a masterpiece. Plain and simple.
Try it with ice cream. Let me
Colby,
just
what were you
make
gonna
that
say?
suggestion.
Cheers. No, cheers to that. No, I was just I don't know, I'm lost again. I'm just drinking beer.
Quick,
No. I
Twelve
was gonna-
percent and a shot of High West will do that to you.
I'm just kidding.
We're all 5
No, I
beers
wanted
deep,
to
like whatever.
quick shout out. I want
well-
to. Go ahead, Colby.
No, you go. You're the host.
I'm not the host. I'm the guy who's just here, who's appreciating your master.
Host to ghost
Uh,
over here,
Just,
man. After
just
that
show
beer.
us your fancy glass. What do you got? What do you got?
It's not a fancy glass. What I was going to say is the
fancy
glass
glass.
that I'm drinking out of today is Team Curtis for a Cure. It is Hops for Hope. Chris Curtis was a very big part of
Rat.
the beer community
Love
here.
that.
Amazing guy, and unfortunately suffered from ALS. And he lost his battle with it, a few weeks ago. And if you're watching today, please go donate. They are trying to eliminate and find a cure for ALS. And he was one of the best guys I've ever had. Ian and I had done a couple podcasts with him. One of the bright spots in our awful Beer for Breakfast podcasts. But amazing gentleman and amazing organization. Looking to help people with ALS. Across the country and here in Nevada and in California, and they are great people. So if you could take a moment to go check out Team Curtis for a Cure and Hops for Hope, they were working with a lot of breweries. They are good people. So if you could check them out, that would mean a lot to us, and it would mean a lot to everybody who was a fan and friend of Chris, because when it comes to the craft beer world, there was nobody better than him. And just salute to Chris. He was
Awesome,
he was-
brother.
he was-
Yeah, cheers to
Some of
that,
the best
man.
Cheers
pe-
to
some of the
that.
best people
And-
out there. I was looking at my glasses today, and I'm like, love Chris, love those guys, love what they do, and there's nothing better than a High West Victory at Sea inside a Hops for Hope glass. It's like all the world's coming together. So thank you guys.
And
That's awesome, man.
there's something to be said about how great of a community the craft beer world is, right? I mean, it's like everyone loves to get together and have some good drinks and everything else, but the way that everyone supports each other, and it's not this weird rivalry between all of these brands where they're all hating on each other. Everyone just sort of comes together and loves on each other and supports each other in a time of need, like Mahoney's talking about. It's just it's great to see. So
High
cheers to that again.
tide
everybody. It's great.
raises all boats.
Thank you.
And while we talk about
Absolutely, dude.
boats and
Absolutely,
tides,
brother.
that's
the truth.
Ballast Point. Colby, can you give them the history of Ballast Point in San Diego and why there are so many stones from San Diego on the East Coast? You read this story?
First off, before I get to that, I always thought of what it would be like for a bunch of mustard makers to hang out, like a bunch of mustard competitors. Just like eating each other's mustard, just hanging out, just all weird, compared to a bunch of brewers that hang out and share what they're doing and share their recipe. And you know what I mean? When it comes down to it, you're just kind of hanging out drinking beer. So that's an easy way to like share things and make things better as a whole. You get a lot less competitive with a few beers in your gut. As far as the history goes, I mean, just coming from the homebrewing store, to 1996 with Ballast Point, to just continually growing more and more, bigger facilities, Scripps Ranch. And then we went to Miramar and opened that huge facility. The building behind Jeff was kind of inspired by the German copper brewery that's sitting at the floor right below that. You know, that's kind of where that all started for the most part. Yeah, those copper that goes down. And then just, you know, eventually moving into 49 states that we talked about. Working our way through, I think I'm up to my 6th or 7th version of Ballast Point at this point. But I think going back to what we like to drink, the quality that we had, you know, the consistency that we had, we've not only shared our love to our employees, but we've trained them really good. And we've trained them enough to hopefully never quit, but we've also trained them enough to go anywhere. And that includes opening their own spots. And we've, you know, the list of the family tree for Home Brew Mart and Ballast Point is too big for a t-shirt at this point. You know what I mean? And it's fun to go around San Diego and just not only see the people that worked at Ballast Point, but also see them thrive. I think that's like a super proud moment. You know what I mean? To taste their beer, and it's super good right out of the gate, beginner. You know what I mean? Like his own place because of the background that they had there at Ballast Point. And I'm still friends with everybody, which is also incredible. You know, it's nice to have been.
Thing. Do they?
Because I haven't been the best boss. I haven't been the best boss over the years. I've had to learn along the way, you know. But the fact that I'm still friends with all, you know, a lot of the ex-employees is special to me. You know what I mean? I like seeing those guys. I guys and girls and everybody. You know what I mean? It's cool to go out and see the influence. And I've been lucky enough to brew on 5 continents now, you know, professionally, and to go to a small brewery in Japan.
5 continents. Where have you 5
Everything
continents?
but Antarctica, Dave.
I haven't done Africa or Antarctica. Yep, Africa and Antarctica are still on my list.
Well, I mean,
That's amazing.
some of the hop varieties that we're seeing coming out of Africa, though, are pretty crazy as well, though. I mean, we're seeing some pretty interesting stuff come out of there. Is that one that's on your bucket list, though?
Well, the 7 continents is still on my bucket list. But the more impressive things is when you go into those places and you go, like I was saying, like into like a small, tiny brewery in Japan, and the brewer says, "This is my version of tongue buckler."
Oh,
you know what I mean? Or like they're inspired by Ballast Point. Like their scene is moving forward in Japan because of what they drank from Ballast Point. I mean, that kind of blows my mind a little bit. So, I mean, it's hard to not be proud of that. You know?
Hey, there we go.
Dude, Kobe. When you set up a string of collaborations at Scripps Ranch, there was an epic string of collaborations that we did when Scripps Ranch was still open, and it was a bunch of alumni and some that weren't, right? And I remember vividly
they were
Hand
all
and
alumni.
Malt from even Hand and Malt, Korea. They came over.
I did, but I didn't do.
It might have been by their own accord. It might have been. It might have been coincidental.
The string I set up was to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Home Brew Mart.
Right. Well,
now we're celebrating 25th.
In that mix, slithered in Hand and Malt from Korea, craft brewery down there, and he was so excited to be on the platform brewing with Ballast Point brewers. He couldn't even contain himself. He had what I could consider the first iterations of a drone, and he was just very, very high tech, and his production value was magnificent. But anyways, guy didn't have anywhere to go. I'm like, hey man, Haxons is his name. Shout out to Haxons over there. He goes, what are you gonna do for the rest of your time here, man? You flew over here. You did a collaboration with Ballast Point. How many days you got left here? He was like, well, I got like a day and a half. So me and Steven Anderson took him out to hang out with us. And it was a big McGregor fight, I remember, for the UFC. So he was super giddy. And he got drunk and rosy to the point where all he was talking about was his appreciation of the influence that Ballast Point and San Diego Craft Beer, it was in all us, had on his slab of land. I cried, man. Like I got sentimental. I was like, dude, really?
Yep, that is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful.
Yep.
I don't know what Colby's doing over there. Are you creating the ultimate jungle juice?
This is what Colby does.
This is the blend.
So if you ever see Colby in oh no, if you ever see Colby in the actual tasting room, he will go back behind the taps.
It's a black and
it's a Vienna.
It's a tan and sunburned. A tan and sunburned.
He will create a blend like that behind the bar. It's amazing. It always is.
Oh, no,
Delicious. Tastes like beer.
Look, hey, listen, you guys. One of the things that most people don't know about Colby Chandler is that the attention to detail that we have at Ballast Point that has been kind of infused into our philosophy came because Colby had a background in high-end dining. And so one of the things that he was privy to was trying to figure out his palate way before anybody was trying to do it. So like one of the things that Colby brought into our company was this mindset of exploration. A lot of people give you a weird look if you say that you're going to blend a couple of their flagship beers together. Colby's the first one to do it. You've opened up the floodgates over here, man. Black Eye. I mean, you could go down the list.
He does it without even needing to be provoked. He does it just because it gets him to that place of where I can create something out of something somebody else already created. Why the hell not? And that's.
Can we get an?
Well, you want to see how the flavors work.
Can we get an anniversary style ale from Ballast Point in the future? Maybe.
That's a good question.
I mean,
what are we doing this year, Jeff? Or we're going to do a 25th anniversary for Ballast Point?
We have some stuff in the works for 25th anniversary. It might not be a official beer for the 25th anniversary. Here at Ballast Point, we like to extend these celebrations. So it might be a sprinkling of different beers and stuff like that we do towards the end of the year. But we got something in the works, man. It's going to be fun. You guys are going to love it. I don't know how we're going to top that. First off, I don't know how we're going to top your rating for Barrel Age Victory at Sea. I think we lose from here on out. We got to make something pretty phenomenal now.
I mean, what you've created already is already phenomenal. I mean, it is something that I highly suggest. And here's the thing that I hate too. I screw myself by saying, "Hey, this is the greatest beer I've ever tasted," because everybody's going to go out and buy it immediately. And I urge you to, but that also means less for me. But I think this is a beer that if you are a beer aficionado, that you absolutely need to taste. And, I mean, you guys have, again, as I said, you are on the Mount Rushmore of breweries in this country, and you have created some masterpieces, and this beer, truly one of the greatest. And I don't say that lightly. I don't rate beers highly, I mean, but the fact that, don't rate beers highly, but I don't rate beers that don't deserve to be rated highly.
He's stingy about his rating. It can't be bought.
I am. A lot of people say I'm very I'm very conservative in my ratings, but when I say that this is one of the best beers, if not the best beer I've ever drank in my life, without a doubt the best porter I've ever had in my life, this is it. Porters don't get love. This beer is great, and I love what you guys are doing. I love the wee Gus. I love the big Gus. I love what you guys are doing. I love that you're available all across the country, that everybody who's watching this right now can go out and find some Ballast Point some way, some shape, somehow. And I love that the care and the love that you guys put into this beer, it comes through. And
thank you for liking it, man. Thank you for liking it. That's the biggest compliment that an artist can have, is that somebody actually likes what they're doing.
We're 20 years in on liking what you guys have been doing. So this is a long time coming for sure. But like I said, this is really a way to finish off an amazing flight of beers, like I would be hard pressed to find a better way to do so, because, like I said,
Go big or go
absolutely
home.
beautiful.
Go
And we are-
big,
luckily
Colby
we-
Chandler. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
I was gonna say, luckily I am at home, so I don't have to go anywhere. I've got three other of
Go big, stay home.
High West Victory at Seas in my fridge that I cannot wait. I'm gonna drink one more, and I'm gonna cellar two of those because
you
my
keep telling
God,
yourself that,
this
Bullwinkle, one day you'll believe it.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
not
no,
gonna
no,
do
no.
that, dude.
Oh, no,
Not with that shirt on.
I can wait. I
I'm gonna bury this in my house. I swear
2009
to
beer
God,
sitting
I'm
in my
gonna-
fridge. So I can hold the line here.
Uh-huh.
But
think we just
Ballast
did-
Man,
Point, one
I
of
think
the
we-
greatest.
I think we just did a new Victory at Sea T-shirt.
Well, I
Go
got the
big,
hoodie.
stay home.
Go big, stay
Go
home.
big,
Yes.
stay home.
I love it. That's
And
perfect.
it's soft too, because
Perfect.
there's nothing worse than an itchy hoodie. And you guys did not, one of the
Oh,
things
no,
that
not
I
even
will
close.
say, yeah,
Hold on,
if you're
man.
why spend the extra $1 to make the beautiful, soft, very comfortable hoodie?
And it glows
are
in
we
the
able
dark.
to buy these, Jeff?
You know what?
It glows
dude?
in the dark?
You Nevadian. I'm not. It's exclusive in our tasting rooms, and we're doing a limited
3.5 hour
release
drive.
of this special Victory at Sea merch. If you come down for Victory at Sea, if you buy your ticket, and you can do it, tell me where you're going to be, because I would love to socially distance myself from you and have a couple of Victory at Sea tasters. But but yeah, man. Anybody listening?
Mahoney's camera just died. Like this is the most 5.
No. You know what he did? He knocked it over. He knocked it over.
There's still a Mahoney back there.
He
so
knocked it
happy.
over. I know
I
he
can
did.
hear him.
He's talking.
You don't understand how many tastings I've done where when Victory at Sea we're about halfway through, that cameras just start to go black because people are knocking stuff over.
Oh wait, he's back. He's back. So are you saying it's a bad idea for me to open the second one? Because
Do not.
No,
do not.
no. It's a bad idea for you not to.
No. Go big, stay home.
You got a babysitter. Do it.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
I'm coming over. We're gonna smoke some
Knock
cigars.
over.
We're gonna have a good time.
I think
My wife's
So
gonna- my
hold
wife's
on,
gonna
you guys.
leave
Hold on,
me.
you guys.
It's gonna
For
be
me,
great.
it's witnessing my daughter's birth, witnessing my son's birth, and then what Dave just did right now. That's
Fair enough.
the
We're
that
done.
was I was so excited when you did that.
We are done.
I honestly thought that DJs didn't talk with their hands. I thought that was like a rule.
No, we
talk with your hands.
We are not.
You can't
We are
do
not-
this when you got a bunch of stuff in front of you.
This just saved
what-
me so much work from burying a hole under my house and having to dig it all out and covering it back up. This is great.
Why
This is
age
great.
it
What a
when
great,
you can
what a
just
great
drink it,
idea.
man?
Did it?
You're gonna get a
Did
Victory
it?
at Sea if you plant it. You're gonna get a Victory at Sea tree, Dave, where there's gonna be a bunch of little ones. Just plan for the future.
I think at this point,
Hey, listen, man, you guys are awesome, dude. Thank
You've
you for
even
having
lost
us.
me.
This is awesome. I really enjoyed being able to talk about what we're doing, but I really enjoyed the feedback that you guys are giving us, man. Jeremy, I already know you, man. You're the man. You're a craft beer aficionado, but in all honesty, it's about making friends. It's about making friends.
Absolutely.
That's what we got into this industry for. We're the better the product, the better the beer, the less that you have to talk about how shitty the beer is. So this is a relationship building thing. That's a Paw Patrol.
Can we
Yeah,
just?
Paw Patrol,
I
baby.
want to cheers Jeremy for just
That's Marshall.
being such an influence in San Diego beer and promoting us.
Oh,
man,
get
for all
outta
these
here.
years,
Yeah.
from beer for breakfast
Hey.
to rock and roll happy hour. I
Well,
mean, dude, hours
Cheers
and
to you, man.
hours of promotion, man. Thank you so much.
appreciate the beer you guys
Cheers
made.
to San
Yeah,
Diego
dude.
beer.
For
In
creating
honesty.
beer for breakfast. Cheers to Germany for creating.
In
beer for
all honesty,
breakfast.
man. Thank you.
I'm gone. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later.
Now we
A
love
lot
you
of drop the
guys.
mic
Hey,
moments around here.